All right, so we're getting into an important conversation, not that any are not, but looking at residents and how they're vetting aspirants for ahead of the polls. And we've heard of one other area in Nairobi, for example, where this is taking place. I do think that it happens on other levels as well, where residents of certain areas are vetting aspirants and saying, okay, that's really nice that you want to run for office, but we're the ones who live here. We are the ones who know the issues. How about you come and have a chat with us about what you really want to do? And then we can tell you whether we think that you're up for the thing or not. So we know that happens in Kileleshwa as a ward. We're also seeing this happening in Langata as well. And the two residents of Langata and those who are from what we've seen, spearheading these conversations, who are with us this morning. The co-convener of the Langata chairpersons forum, that's Gerald Mwangi Ole Walterfang. I love that name.
Thank you.
And maybe we can take a minute for you to tell us how that all comes together. He's with us this morning, as well as the Treasurer, South Sea Residents Association, Yvonne Mwangi. Karibuni sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you for joining us in the hot seats.
Yes, indeed.
Today, talking about stuff that is really, really important. I mean, we have conversations in this room every day, and we say to ourselves, how can we hold people accountable? How can we say, guys, you said you were going to do this thing, but then here, you've not done it. Where do you go? Are you going to go knock on the county office and say, hey, you've not done your job, chuck out? But I guess one of the ways to do it is before the fact. That let people know before the fact that you actually have your eye on them. And so if they're going to do anything going left or south, that they know that the people that voted them in are watching them. Yes. So on that premise, we're having the conversation this morning. And Gerald, maybe we can kick off with you. Langata is another one that is now looking up in terms of saying, no, you want to be MP, you want to be MCA, come and tell us who you are. Yeah. Why did you decide to do this as well?
Okay, thank you, Odu and CT, for this opportunity to be with you. It's great to be here. We watch you, we see you, so it's important that we come and share with you what we have observed, and it's a delight to be here. In 2015, we knew we were heading to 2017 elections, and we were concerned as citizens and as people who live in residential areas about the kind of leadership we were getting. So we decided that we will start off by forming what we call political debates, where we invite residents in order for them to be able to have an opportunity to interrogate and ask questions and hold the leaders to account. So we did that as a precursor in 2017. Come 2022, we thought, what mistakes have we done and what have we observed? And therefore, the Langata Chairpersons Forum came together as a forum where all chair of residents and estates and apartments also, and any residential area, get together and deliberate about issues that are happening within the estate. So you have issues of water, you have issues of electricity, you have issues of lighting, you have issues of road and security. But we asked ourselves, who is in charge of all these things? We go out of our way paying for extra things to be done. And we discovered that they are all catered for. But the thing is, who is holding these leaders to account? And that's the journey that we started. And therefore, the Langata Chairpersons Forum has been the spearhead of what we are calling the Langata Speaks. And what does that do? It offers the residents an opportunity not to lament, not to complain, but to do something about it. You start before, and you start by engaging with the people who have presented themselves as the leaders who want to lead us. And therefore, you come there and you are able to ask questions. We take questions from residents, those who are not able to be with us physically, we take questions from them. And these are the questions that we hold these leaders to account. And therefore, we offer them an opportunity to be able to interrogate. Then you go to the ballot and you decide, who is it that I want to be my MCA, my MP, and also we want to interrogate also the senators and the governors and the women led.
Okay, so I mean, then Yvonne, so who's coming forward, and what are some of these things that we're hearing then that are important for would-be aspirants? And then I guess 1B would be, are the would-be leaders interested in hearing what residents have to say?
Okay, wow, thank you very much. Thank you for allowing us to be here. It's actually a great pleasure.
Oh, no, thank you for accepting the invite and for honoring us with your presence.
Thank
Wow,
you.
thank you.
Yes.
Wow, okay, it's very nice. I'll start off with 1B, okay? I'll start off with the second question, and I'll say this. The leaders are very interested. They want to know what the residents think of them. So when we put up the first one, which started off in South Sea, I will tell you this. They were the ones coming to us and asking us, what do you want us to do? How can we help you? Can you give us the questions? I said, no, we're not giving you the questions, but what we'll do, no leakage, what we'll do is we'll make sure that when you come there, the questions are, well, you'll be able to understand them and be able to answer them. And we made sure that we told the residents, look, at the end of the day, you are the ones who are responsible, not us. You are the one who's responsible. So if you do not attend, you will miss that chance to ask this person who wants to become your MCA, why do they want to do this, and how will they change South Sea, or how will they change Langata, or how will they change Karen? If you don't come and ask, do not come back and say, this person didn't do this for me, yet you had the chance to actually interrogate him and tell him, by the way, will you do it or will you not do it? The other thing we do with the leaders is we hold them accountable, we make them sign a charter. Okay? On that charter, it defines every single thing that you are supposed to do as an MCA. Every single thing. And you sign it. And you all hold it together, saying that we have all signed this.
There's evidence.
So
There's evidence. There's evidence.
It's a written down social contract.
Thank you.
Indeed.
So even if you go in and don't do it, we as the residents can come after 2 years and say, you know what? You signed this. You didn't do it. Now we're going to impeach you. Because we have now the authority. Because you see, initially we didn't. We didn't. We had nothing to hold them for. So now here's the chance.
I'm interested in what spurred this on. And it might seem obvious, but
Yes.
then again, maybe not so much. Because it's been yonks
Yes.
of leaders coming in and doing whatever on earth they wanted to do.
Yes.
Even those who maybe would have done a better job,
Yes.
maybe didn't get the opportunity because of 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
So what spurred this action to say, hold on, folks, we've complained. Let's have these guys in the room, literally, first of all. What pushed that to happen, Gerald?
Pain is a good teacher. Pain.
Yeah.
When you have a toothache, you can ignore it. But the longer you ignore it, the more the pain gets to you, the more you decide that I have to do something about it. Either I pluck it out or I go get it checked and get it filled. So the pain of residents having to wait on people to do stuff for them, and yet we have elected leaders that we have put in office, who eventually we asked ourselves, what is their duty? And of course, you know the classic thing we always say, tunagojea serikali. We realize serikali is you. So in addition to what is happening right now, we have gone a step further into civic education of the residents. Now, it amazes us all, including myself, that we have been empowered, but we were not aware. The County Act of 2012 gives you that authority to participate fully in everything that is being done on behalf of your county, of your ward, and even of your constituency. The same thing with the Neighborhood Act of 2016 gives you the authority and the powers bestowed upon you to be able to question all these things. Finally, the Constitution itself starts with the preamble of we the people. So we asked ourselves, who are these people we are waiting for? And then, of course, the actual pain, no water. There are people who have gone months without water. They pay to their teeth. The economy right now is in a spin. And therefore, if you look at all these things being put together, it's actually stressing the residents and the citizen, who is the backbone, the taxpayer. And we keep taking more out of the taxpayer, drawing more blood. It reached a point where people said it's enough. So we want to know, you as the MCA, why are our roads the way they are? Why do I have to go changing my brake pads, changing my, my shock absorber from a place I live? Why do I have to be buying water through Bowsers? And yet somebody is in charge. Somebody is meant to be taking care of us and helping us find out why we are not having water.
Sure.
So the issues of security, who is in charge? When you came in and you gave us a promise, what were the promises? And for us, we actually have called our MCA to the residents and sat with him. When he came in, we called him. We wrote down exactly what he said he'll do. I sat in that meeting. I remember asking him, please do not say something that is populist and you'll not be able to deliver.
Right.
We give you a second chance to retract
What
whatever you have said.
If you think that you may have
if you
made
think
a
that you may
mistake.
have made a mistake, it's
Yeah.
okay. And what we did is we were very deliberate in the group.
Yeah.
We invited elderly people. And of course, in our customary traditions, you don't lie before the elders. Then, because you might be in between the .com age, we invited the younger generation. So those ones you might, slide with them, but they'll still be up pursuing you. Yeah. So we invited, a very well deliberate group of people. 2 years down the line, we called him back. And all we did is say, do you remember the minutes we took? You remember receiving them? Here they are. Did you do the following? No. No. It's just, did you do yes or no? Now, here is not a place where you explain. It's yes or no.
Right.
Yeah. And it's that we are holding them to account.
What happened at that point?
Yes. Now, at that point.
When the 2 years later.
Yeah.
And somebody is fumbling and there's a yes or no.
Yeah.
What happens at that point, or what happened with the current MCA?
Now, that's the point. Of course, the person will give you excuses. Which we have had for a long time and continue to hear. But being fair also to this individual, we say, let's go back to what we agreed. Why has this not happened? And, to be honest, like the one individual just said, this is a political game. These are the guys that I promised. The places you are asking me about the walkways, I cannot remove these guys because these are my voters. Now, of course, you go back to the citizen and say, so you decide whether you want walkways or you want somebody who is going to be helping people to use your walkways for whatever business that is being carried out. And so then we said about the water. Of course, we know there is an issue with the amount of water that is received in Nairobi. The amount that is required and the amount that is received, there's a big gap in between. Now, we asked, if you sit on the county assembly and you are the water chairperson, and we in Langata are the number one sufferers, what are you telling us? If you have gone there and you have seen the number of Bowsers coming in through the gates, and people are complaining that part of the business that is transacting here is also a cartel, what are you doing about it? So residents decided enough of asking questions. So take charge by yourself. Know that the next round, which is now 2022, has come around, is that we will look for the candidate who fits that bill and we'll hold them to account. Now, the beauty of this time, as opposed to the last time, is that this time we also understand we can recall you. We can recall you and we know how to recall you.
Right.
So if anybody is out there thinking that the residents and the citizens of Kenya always lament, then after a while they go back to the usual self, they have something else coming. So a recall is an option, and also deciding who should be voted in is an option. Yeah.
Do you people okay, since you talk about the recall and you've repeated it something like 4 times in 2 sentences, do you understand the mechanisms of recalling?
A good question.
Do you understand it?
Wow, actually, to be honest, I don't quite understand it completely, but I do know that it requires, I know signatures are required from the residents, that I know for sure. And I know that we need to take it to the city hall. And
Assembly.
from there,
Yes.
then we can then proceed. I'm not too sure about what happens after that.
Actually,
but
this isn't an exam question.
yes.
Why I was asking
Yes.
it, I'm not marking you. There's
No
scheme.
problem.
Okay.
No, yes.
Why I'm asking
Yes.
is this. You tell someone, we are asking you and we are setting up a social contract with you.
Yes.
The real threat in their minds has a 5-year period.
Past. Yes.
Yes. Now I'm coming back to the recall.
Yes.
As you're setting up the social contract, don't you think it would be in your interest to also set up that recall mechanisms?
Yes.
So if it's the signatures, you already have them. So you tell them, ndugu ama dada mpendwa, tafadhali, please understand, even as you've told us these things and we want to believe you, we are telling you this. Okay? And anybody who comes here, because there'll be many people coming.
Yes, true.
As and when we call you for reference, and this time it's not going to be 2 years, it's 1 year.
It's 1 year.
Okay? and we find your fault. The second year is to confirm whether you've actually changed or not.
Yes.
We already have in place the mechanism for removing you. Not we are going to institute it. We already have it. So
that's good,
go in there when you know that when we talk about recall, we are not telling you fairy tales. We will actually recall you. Have you considered that?
That is a beautiful option. Let me start from the fact that we have been following through the civic education of learning how to do these things. And that is one of the elements that we are trying to ask all residents, not only in Langata, but everywhere, to acquaint ourselves with the mechanisms and the opportunities that we are given by the constitutions and the county acts. Now, it is true that for a recall, you do need to go around the county and even in your ward seeking the signatures that you require. It is true that you need to pass it through the National Assembly, and there has to be due course of why it is so necessary for you, with proof, of course, of why this person must be recalled. Yeah. It's not been implemented, it's not been tested, because the politician is also the one who makes the law, who passes it in the National Assembly. So they do find ways of trying to block you from that. However, we have said that as residents associations, we are aware, we have become aware, and some of the options that we have is the recall. And indeed, what you have stated is for us to do the homework and find out exactly how. One of our problems as residents, of course, and as citizens, is we have not been doing enough homework. And the guys know where we have failed to do the homework, and they know where to circumvent that.
Exactly.
However, with the resolve, and it's the small steps that we have started, they themselves now acknowledge, before they ignored us. I remember in 2017, when we invited some for the debate, they said, come on, I know it's a done deal and I'm through.
Right.
Yeah? And it is true. At that point, it was a done deal. But what that did is to arouse a wrath in us of saying, so you presume and assume. Our work is only to come to the ballot. And whether we come or not, because some of you belong to very large parties, you say, I don't care, and I don't need to show up.
Yes.
That has changed. The behavior of the voter has changed. The behavior of the candidate has changed. We want to take it to a level where now we hold you accountable. We don't answer to you. You answer to us. Exactly. That is where we're trying to get to.
So when these folks show up at these debates, I mean, because we can liken them to town halls now.
Yes.
As what really happens.
Yes.
At the ward level, at the constituency level.
Yeah.
The lights, camera, action are not there.
Yeah.
The glare of the nation is not there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which usually in other cases would maybe tempt some people to say some things that are not true.
Yes, indeed.
Do you think that it takes away, now that they're having an intimate conversation with people that they're essentially going to represent at that nuclear level?
Yes.
Do you find that they're telling you more truth than they would if the rest of the country was watching?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, that's a good question. Being one of the moderators, I'll tell you this. Because they didn't know the questions in advance, when we asked them the questions, you could see them thinking.
Yes.
And you realize, oh my goodness, this guy has been caught off guard. Yes. And he has to think and he has to be very eloquent. So then he puts his best foot forward, but you can still see him fumbling because he was trying to lie. Then he realizes, no, I can't lie. I'm in front of people. So I need to state facts and I need to put things forward and I need to tell them the truth. Because even when we ask them, as the continuous question of education, so I'll bring this one up. And when we asked them about their education, you could see people thinking, now do I tell the truth? Do I or do I lie? You know,
to what degree do
I lie? So I remember we started off with the lady at the end who was running for MCA, and she said she's done sports and mentorship, coaching. The next one said, I have done CPA, only one, but I have been an accountant for very many years. Next person, he said, look, me, I've only gone until Form 4, but I'm currently studying piloting.
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
But I'm running for this position. Next person said, I have gone to this university, that university, I've done this program. We're like, okay, wow. And I understand government and I've worked in government, and you realize, okay, wow, now here's a chance. We have all these other guys who don't have the necessary qualifications, but this guy has them, but does he have the votes? You see? So when you're presenting yourself, you need to present yourself knowing that I may not have the votes, or even if I do have the votes, can I say, not say what the people need to hear, can I be truthful?
Right.
can I put in things that are going to be practical? I'm not going to say when I enter in 90 days, I'm going to give you water.
Yes.
Where are you getting the water from? You know what I'm saying?
And also for us is key is, can you do the job?
Yes.
Are you able to do the job?
Yes.
There's a lot of promises you make, but can you do the job?
Exactly.
And we understand that you may be able to do the job, may not have had the requisite education, and you could be telling us, I have a plan to get myself to the standards.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we hear that honest conversation, we're able to say, fine, we are all not angels, we are all not perfect. We're able to look at you and say, okay, this one deserves a chance. However, what are the minimal requirements of each of those positions? Have you met them? So that we don't run into some of the things now we are beginning to see at the 11th hour that we're experiencing currently in the country.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break and take a look at weather and traffic. But then interesting, because there might be other wards, there might be other areas in the country that are thinking, hold on a moment. Shouldn't we also be having this conversation with these fellows who want to come and roll, so we can find out how exactly that can be done? So we're going to do that and come back and continue with this conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Really important stuff that we're talking about here, and just looking at how you then can engage would-be aspirants or incoming leaders, and talking from Langata constituency this morning with Gerald and Yvonne, and keeping this conversation real.
Yes.
Because it's the real issues.
It's the real issues.
It's
on the
not
ground.
some flowery thing, lights, camera. It's the real issues.
Yes.
So this is the second, maybe most vibrant constituency that we've heard doing this, or rather area, residents association doing this after the Kileleshwa ward.
Yes.
I'm sure. I mean, that the residents of Kilimani and who are having these conversations as well. But then other folks are sitting and asking, okay, wait, is it too late? 53 days to the election, 52 days now. Is it too late for us to also start engaging would-be leaders in our area? And how on earth did you start? It cannot be cheap. It's time consuming. It's probably a bother. Sometimes you think, why on earth should I be the one calling people to come and discuss with these guys who are going to come and lie to us, So how do you even start? How did you start?
Actually, for anyone listening and anyone watching, I would want to tell them it's not too late. There are different methodologies of doing it. We started because we had others had started. I had Irungu Houghton, they have started
Kilimani,
something
yes.
in Kilimani, some Waora. And you come across these individuals and you say, hey, guys, how do you do this? And they say, we just sat. And we figured we've gone through a pain and would want to subject the guys into some sort of a vetting process. So we came back and we figured which is the best way. And we said, through the formation of leaders of estates, it becomes easier. But if you're not at that stage, it doesn't necessarily mean you must be leaders of anything, but they're willing to lead this initiative. So it can be a group of residents, citizens who come together. It can be through the churches, through the mosque. It can be through the business leaders who are in the estates. As long as you have somebody willing to sacrifice. Yes, indeed, it takes time. It does take resources. The biggest one is time. I can tell you that for a fact. This lady hasn't been sleeping. I haven't been sleeping, because you have to coordinate things within a very short time. You have to look for the candidates. You have to present them in a manner that is objective. Many of them think you're setting them up. They think that these guys are after me. And you have to prove to them that this is for the common good. So that does take time. But the starting is just a matter of getting together. Get a few individuals who are willing to go through the pain and sacrifice and volunteer for that particular initiative. It doesn't take too long. For South Sea, we did it. The planning took a bit longer. It did take about 2 weeks or so, behind the scenes and pushing the agenda, coming up with the kind of questions you'll be asking, who will be the moderators. Again, these guys, you have to vet them so that they are objective. We all have a preference of a candidate, and there's a candidate we don't like. But as a moderator, you have to drop that and say, I'm giving them the best objective opportunity in justice and fairness for them to say what they need to say. But since we have a tool to evaluate them, then the fairness comes in. So you have to create the tool for vetting them. You have to create the program for the day. You have to decide whether it's a whole day, whether it's half day. You have to decide on the venue. whether you get it sponsored by the community, whether it's you who goes to the pocket as a team and you contribute. Then you have to look for volunteers, people who are willing to work with you. And then we keep learning. The first time we did it on our own, this time we have pulled along younger people to mentor them so that they go through the mentorship process, so that the next 5 years is probably them pushing the agenda. So those are the things that you look at. Yeah?
That's true. Yes, I mean, I think Gerald has said most of the things. But one thing you realize is when you're planning anything, any occasion, it takes time. So for us, the biggest issue was the MCAs, convincing them. You have to literally pick up the phone and tell the person, we're having this event, would you please come? Some would say yes, some would say, why do I need to? Is it a must? I'm not coming. I'm like, seriously? You know, people would give you reasons that you're like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Then you go back and tell them, listen, do you want to be elected? Do you want to meet the people who are going to elect you? Then they say yes. Then please come. And they showed up.
Right.
And they showed up on time.
Yeah.
And they came, and when they sat there, they were humble. And they said, okay, fine, we are ready. What would you like us to do? What questions would you like to ask us? And we said, okay, this is about time. And when you look at their demeanor, they're saying to you, we are here. We are presenting ourselves to you.
Yeah.
Please make sure you ask us the right questions so that we can answer them and tell these people to elect us. They did not come there to campaign. And we were very, very clear from the beginning. This is not your campaigning platform. Do not come and campaign. Do not come. If you're coming with your people, make sure you don't wear the colors. Don't come with people who are going to make noise. In fact, we even said, don't even clap until the end. Don't boo, we were very strict. Because you see, we realized if you do that, then you discourage the other candidate.
Right.
The other thing we did, we mixed up the questions. So if I ask you, who are you? I don't ask that person the next question. Because if you have 4 people and you ask them the same thing, it becomes monotonous.
Sure.
So we need to keep it exciting. So we had the moderators do different questions. So I ask you one, the other moderator asks you another question, and they're like that. So nobody knew what was going to be asked next. They were like, okay, you're surprised.
What's happening is something that happens, and it's maybe us also almost taken for granted in other more developed democracies. Let's use those safe words.
Yes.
And it's expected of aspirational leaders that the people of their communities are actually going to call them and bring them to book, that they are waiting to be asked, when are we actually going to come here? So now with obviously this that has become a thing, and I actually do think it happens at the local level. I really think that it happens at the village level that sometimes you often take for granted.
Yes.
That there are people who are vetting these guys on a daily. They may not sit down and have an eloquent discussion with them, but there are certain things that they're sifting through by the manner in which they deal with them on a daily or monthly or however often they come to them basis. So do we see a situation based on what you're doing now where it will become the modus operandi? That it will be that leaders who are hoping to represent at the lowest level, even to the highest, will be asked to meet the mark by the people who live in those areas?
Yes, that's actually, that was the plan. That was why we started Langata Speaks. That was the agenda. We want to make sure that every 5 years we have elections. We have this vetting. We have this conversation. We make sure that these leaders, even the ones who are incoming or outgoing, you come and you tell us, did you do it? Did you not do it? You see, because if we keep it as status quo, we will not get anywhere. You will get to a point, sorry.
No, go ahead.
You will get to a point in your life and realize, look, we need change. But who is the change?
Who is the change?
Who is the change? Because all the time we keep saying it is someone else. But the reality is, it is us. We are the change. And if we don't take charge and tell that person, look, no, you're not going to do this to us, we are going to take charge and say, you know what, this is how things are going to be done. And if you don't do things our way, we will show you the door.
You know, 5 years is a long time
Yes.
for someone to be in a position.
Yes.
What the process that you're undergoing is actually a complex one.
Yes.
Complex in this sense. There's a realization that you need to do this. There is the idea of convincing people who live within your constituency that this is important for them. And then there's getting the would-be candidates to get this. Now, the beauty is would-be candidates already live there. So if you do it more often, it means anybody who lives there, who comes from there, who is aspiring, will know what to expect.
Expectations.
And the more you do it, the more you normalize it.
Yes.
Because what you're saying, and what Ndu mentioned about machinani, as we call it,
Yes.
Yes.
actually used to happen, but not quite in this way.
Yeah.
Because you would go to church to talk to these people.
Yes.
You didn't ask for votes.
Yes.
Yes.
But
yes.
you participated in
It-
events that the community was involved in, so people knew you. In fact, that was the criteria.
Yes.
Do we see this person? How often are they involved in this?
Yes. Excellent.
The money element came in and started messing up that
Yes,
equation.
exactly.
Because now it's a question of who gives what and
Yes.
how much is given. And then political parties, when they came in, now it is, are they in this party?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the vetting just kept getting diluted and diluted and diluted. Because so long as you support this individual and their party is strong in your region, it gave anybody and everybody
Yes.
an opportunity to just go in simply because they belong to the party.
Yes.
But it appears we are waking up and realizing
No.
this doesn't actually work.
Very true.
Okay?
Very true.
But now,
Yes.
the accountability, so that it doesn't seem like it's punitive,
Yes.
Yeah.
but it's restorative, and that people are actually assisted to enable them to do what they do. Why am I saying
Yes.
help, assisted, enabled?
Yes.
Because these areas that people live in,
Yes.
my goodness,
Yes.
the human resource capacity, those places is vast.
Yes, it
A
is.
lot.
It
So
is.
it's understanding who do we have who lives with us here,
Yeah.
who has expertise in this
Yes.
and who has in this. I'm sure you have your committees.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the expertise enables people to actually hold these leaders to more account.
Yes.
Because it's not just a question of calling you. It's a question of going beyond calling you. See, you are in the assembly.
Yes.
Yes.
And they do the same thing.
Yes.
Yes. Perhaps the influence ought to go even up to the level of the assembly, where you say, we would like to come to the assembly and even have a say about some of these things from time
Yeah.
to time.
Very true.
Because after all, it's our assembly. You know, we're the ones who live in this city.
Yes. Very true.
Yes.
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 Now, the question comes,
Yes.
Yeah.
at what point do you know that you have actually gotten the message across and that you are able to actually derive the benefits that a leader should be bringing to you? What will you need to see happening before you get to that point?
First, let me just, you've triggered a very important and very material aspect of what we are doing. Number one, we want to change the way things are done. The servant becomes the one who has been leading. We want them to be aware that they are servants, not the
bosses.
other way, not the
Exactly.
bosses. Yeah? If you recall, one of the success cases of Makueni is because Professor Kifudha Kibwana has understood the concept of leadership from the village level. Currently, as we're speaking, a lot of us, and now this is across the sectors, have realized the mistakes we have made. So there is a push and an initiative, and that's what Krimani is doing, and then we are part of it, and also Langata. There's a push of having us identify exactly what you said. We know who is able to lead. We know the people we live with. We know who does things without having to be paid, and they do not even look for payment for that particular activity or work or contribution to community. Why is it we never choose these people? Who says that I, the one who has presented myself, are the only candidates? Why can't the community say, I know City, he's capable of doing 1, 2, 3. We know it because he has not come forward, but we see what they are doing.
Right.
Can we go and encourage them to pick on that particular position and be able to do that? So there's an element where we are working on that leadership will start from Nyumba Kumi. Nyumba Kumi is not the Nyumba Kumi that we are told about, but Nyumba Kumi would be probably the estate where you live, one estate area. Within the estate, there's a court. That's a Nyumba Kumi. There's a leader there. How did you get that leader? How did they come forth? And how were they elected or selected? What were the reasons they were selected? Then build that up to the point where you have a couple of Nyumba Kumis. They elect a leader who becomes now the chair or whatever title you want to give them. Those meet with other leaders from the other estates, from the other apartments, and they too come up with a leader. Similarly, those who go to the church, they have people who lead in what you call the cells, the fellowship, whatever you call it. Yeah, same thing with the guys going to the mosque or the temple. So those leaders eventually reach to a point where they are able to sit down and say, we are all leading, and we're all doing a good thing, a common good. who then among us can we be able to raise up to become the candidate who is going to vie for MCA? Remember, you've not stopped the other guys coming in.
No.
The one who wants to steal, the one who plans to go and just and
Or the one
enrich
who
themselves.
thinks that they've been selected
Or
by
they have been
divine
selected.
intervention.
It doesn't stop them.
Yes.
Right.
But what it does, it has given the person all the way from the grassroots the opportunity to offer leadership, delegated leadership.
So I hear you saying,
yes.
I hear you saying here that essentially, then communities can actually be responsible for the
Exactly.
leaders that we select going into
Exactly.
the future.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
you
that's
can
what we
have other
want.
people who come along.
Yes.
But the people that you have seen working and
Yes.
have been accountable and
Yeah.
have been doing a good job and have been responsible,
Yes.
that communities can come together
Yeah.
and select such a person.
Indeed.
I tell you, you're gonna have. There's some people who are not comfortable with this conversation
Yes.
at all because
Yes.
they realize that such
and we
people
hope
exist.
they are uncomfortable.
You know, we
because
saw this
that
happen.
is what we want.
Yeah.
Yes.
We saw this happen in Kericho County.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Eric Mutai,
Yeah.
a university lecturer,
Yeah.
an ordinary citizen.
Yeah.
The citizens of that particular county
Yeah.
not only donated vehicles
Yes.
branded,
Yes.
Exactly.
but people were giving 200,
They gave him pocket money.
300.
Excellent.
Yes,
Excellent.
and he won
Yeah,
And you
that's how
now
it's
the
been
nomination.
done.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
they decided who is going to be their leader.
Yes.
And they have observed that
And-
individual.
And I'm saying all communities observe and they know.
yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's not that they don't.
Yes. Yes.
They do. It doesn't matter where the community is.
Yes.
They have a very
They
clear
know.
idea.
Yes.
Once in a while, such a person actually offers themselves
Yes.
and they get elected.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But more often than not, they look at the landscape and they figure, nah,
Yeah.
this I don't want to get involved in.
Yes.
And the beauty of this process is that exactly what you have stated. Many avoid coming into this space because it's a dirty game.
Yeah.
I don't have the resources and I will not manage. Now, you've given a classic example of what we are working towards is that once you have been elevated to that level by the community, it is the community that will work to get you the resources that you need to campaign. And you see, over a period of time, you may not even need the resources because what you'll be doing is filtering away all the bad elements and now having, out of the 4 of us, you're all capable. And it's a matter of meeting in the town hall, speaking to the people, convincing them. They say, maybe this year we should give it to so-and-so. Yes, because all of them now, we have taken them through the filter, they are good leaders.
So it's about time there's a different kind of politics
There is a- it's
around the
about time
country. It's
to
about
change the
time that we say,
narrative.
it's
Yes.
not you who's going to decide what's on the
What's on
buffet.
the-
It is
yes.
us who will
Who will
decide
decide.
what we are serving,
Yes.
Yes.
and it's going to be coming from us.
Yes.
That's a really great people-centered leadership,
Now-
isn't it?
But you must also have the tools. And currently, again, in 2012, the pain has been there for a long time. In 2012, a group of us sat and we came up with a tool, a very simple tool, which even you and I can do right here. It's called the BVIP tool. What is BVIP? It's B and then EVIP. Yeah? What's that? When you look for a leader, you ask whether that leader is blameless. What do you mean by blameless? Do I have scandals? Yeah.
Don't we all?
Have I stolen? Yeah. Have I been doing what I'm meant to do? Yeah. So, and it's all there. And it's in the public. These days you can't hide. It's here.
it's
Yeah,
here.
it's all here. And then the E, am I a leader or a person who encourages others? Because there are people who, and I don't know what has happened to our communities and society, every period and every time we are engaging is a competition. So am I a person who sees you not to compete with you, not to suppress you, but actually to pull my hand and pull you up and be able to encourage you so that I put you on my shoulders and you pull me to the next stage?
Absolutely.
Yeah? So that's what you're looking for. Then, do you have a vision? Everybody says I can lead. Yes, everybody says. Everybody claims I can lead. But do you have a compelling vision for us to follow you? Yeah? If you're going to lead us into darkness, then surely that's not the
That's
space we
leading as
want.
well.
Yes. And then you
wrong
have
place.
the I. Are you inclusive?
Yeah.
Do you involve other people? Even in your simple meetings, do you, overwhelm others, or do you ask for consensus? Do you build consensus, and do you allow people to participate? Eventually, of course, you must make a leadership decision.
Sure.
And the final one, are you protecting the society? When they're grabbing land, like she'll share with you, there's a piece of land they're trying to grab in South Sea.
Yes, we
Do you
saw
just
that,
sit
yeah.
and say, oh no, this country is bad, it's corrupt, we can't do anything about it? Or do you stand out and say, we are protecting this? So that's a tool that you do. And I like what you brought out then. How do you use that tool? You can, it's a very simple tool. You do a zero, absolutely, you don't understand what you're doing.
A marking scheme.
Yes, a marking scheme, yes.
0 to 10.
0 to 10. And then a 1, you say, I think I'm there. And a 2 is, I'm doing very well. Now, that tool, you do it to yourself first before you do it unto the others. And if you're able to do that, then you have a measure
Then you can
of finding
graduate.
out the kind of leadership that you want. So you have to have vetting tools, which is what we have not been having in the community. You have to have nomination tools. We want even to reach to a level. Before you go and tell us that you want to stand, has your own family consented to you standing?
To standing, or
Yes,
just
you
deciding
yourself.
to make the
Yes.
decision.
You know, you may tell us I'm a leader. Does your own family believe you're a leader? They have more on you than we have on you. So if your own family refuses to nominate you,
How much more anybody else outside?
and
Look, we can go for hours
It's true.
having this conversation, and I think we ought to, and I think it's really important to have this out here. I mean, we'd love to have conversations about this again in the near future. We've got 52 days, and there's a lot that can be done in that period.
Very true.
So we want to thank both of you, Gerald and Yvonne, for
Yeah,
coming. It's good to have you in the studio because we know you listen to us every day,
Every day.
Yes.
and to have you here is really great.
It's also great to be here.
yes.
Some sugar and spice for you after the show.
Oh,
That's
no,
I tell you,
definitely.
yes.
One thing that Gerald hasn't mentioned is this weekend we're going to Mugumoine. After that, we then will have High Rise. We'll have Nairobi West. We'll have Karen. Karen said they'll do their own.
Okay.
Then the major one, the biggest one now, is the Members of Parliament, which will be held at Tangaza College on the 30th of July. I know it's close,
But it would be important.
but
to
it will be important.
It's okay.
right.
Yes.
I know it's tight, but we get it done.
important.
We
We'd
have
like
to
to
get
know
it done.
about that.
We will get it done.
And-
It's at Tangaza, and they have the space and everything. The other thing is we do have a pay bill number, which
I can.
Gerald,
Our time is.
I know it's really tight.
We're really
So
tight in terms of seconds, and we can get that and share that.
we can share that.
But you can just go ahead and tell us what that pay bill is. And
Gerald.
247 247, and then the account number is 0716 238 252. So pay bill 247 247 0716 238 252 as the account.
Fantastic. We're
thank
really
you.
interested in knowing what will happen in a couple of weeks and
Sure.
then in that month, and know how this will go ahead.
And we invite you, come to Mugumoine Uhuru Gardens Primary School. It has, very high-tech technology. It's a public school, and people are trying to promote it. That's why we chose to be there. We also want to help the students who are there, that they may be able to have something from their school feeding program, which was withdrawn because of Corona. So we're inviting all of you.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Gerald and Yvonne, thank you for being here with us this morning. Really great stuff, and we continue with the conversations.